Good evening. My name is Doug Jones. I'm one of the directors and one of the old guys at the TEAMeffort office. This evening I wanted to take a few minutes to give all of you an overview of the evening programs and the devotions and the messages that you'll have throughout the week. But before I do that, I wanted to take a moment just to say thank you guys. Thanks for the time that you took to come here, for the efforts that you took to come here. I know that for the youth pastors, you had to plan and coordinate events and get people signed up. And for the adults, I know that you guys literally, some of you guys took time off of work just to come down here and work with the youth group. You know, for the youth, you guys have done fundraisers, you've planned for it, and I want you to know that TEAMeffort, we actually have year-round people on staff that came to TEAMeffort when they were your age, when they were in junior high and high school, and they did all the work to come on their trips too. They did the spaghetti dinners and the car washes, and we have somebody on staff that actually, their youth group did tractor pulls and riding lawnmower races just to be able to come on their trip. So we appreciate the work you guys have done. We appreciate the effort you've put in and that you're willing to come down and just let us serve alongside you guys as you put your faith into action. The theme for this week, if you haven't figured it out from all the pictures that were on the screen before I started speaking, is scaffolding, which seems a little strange, but scaffolding, that is well, there's some right here behind me. The scaffolding is what goes up around a building that needs remodeling, that's in disrepair. They'll put it up around the building so that they can get to the building, repair it, and work on it. And it goes in different layers with the planks that people can walk on to work on the building. That's our theme for the week, and really not so much a theme as it is really an object lesson. Each night the object will stay the same, but the lesson will change. And it'll change fairly dramatically because each night you're going to have someone different speaking to you. You'll meet people this week that I've had a chance to get to know over the years that'll share their stories, their testimony, and things with you that'll really, I think, enrich the evening programs. I know you'll enjoy meeting them and getting to know them. On Monday night, you will meet Mitch Parks and Ben Hosey. Mitch and Ben were with TEAMeffort, 4 or 5 years ago, working at a camp up in the mountains and also down in Puerto Rico. They worked as counselors and as leaders. They led music at night and then did the work sites during the day. We went on a trip with them down to Puerto Rico, and I'll share some stories about that with you later in the week. But these guys have made a career out of music with a band named after Edmund, done really well. You'll meet them on Monday night. On Tuesday, you'll meet a gentleman named Tom Cooney. Tom Cooney is older. He looks like your granddad. He's a deaf man, and over the years, Tom has met people from Helen Keller he's met, to John F. Kennedy, to Ronald Reagan, to the Backstreet Boys and Ray Charles. An amazing story and an amazing testimony. Later in the week, you will meet Courtney and Bryant. And Courtney and Bryant have worked with TEAMeffort over the years and have been in and out of mission projects, both stateside and overseas. They'll share with you their stories and their testimonies along the way too. I know you'll enjoy getting to know these folks as the week progresses. When a building is in disrepair and in need of renovations and remodeling, the scaffolding has to go up around it first. It has to be surrounded in scaffolding so that the workers can begin to work on it and make something new out of something that was damaged. Once that scaffolding's up, they can begin to pull away the old plaster and the old paint, take off the old facade, and then get into working on the cracks and the weak points and kind of shoring up the problems within the building, and eventually get to where they can replace the supporting beams in the structure and actually shore up the foundation itself so that it becomes a new building and a reconstructed building. But remember, a building that's in disrepair, before it can be renovated and remodeled, several things have to happen, and that's how it is with us as well. Several things have to happen with us before we can be renovated. One of them is that we just have to be willing to have the old, damaged, weak parts taken away and pulled out and stripped away from us so that they can be replaced with newer, stronger parts. And that's the part that God can do. We can't do that. We can't strengthen our weakened parts. We can't replace our damaged parts. Only God can take our damaged selves and turn us into a new creation through Christ. The other thing that has to happen, and the first thing really, and quite honestly, it's the thing that's your choice, and that is you have to allow God to put his scaffolding up around you. You have to be willing to get rid of the old scaffolding that you surround yourself with, and you have to be willing to allow him to surround you with his scaffolding. Now, your scaffolding is just the things that you lean on. It's your old ideas, your old way of doing things, your old habits. Your scaffolding is your own ways and your own understanding. But quite honestly, that's the stuff that gets between you and God's scaffolding on which he can work on you. You have to be willing to break that down and cast it aside and make yourself vulnerable to God. The scaffolding that we build for ourselves and the scaffolding that people build and the world builds and surrounds us with, it may seem solid and it may seem like it's safe to lean on, but when we lean on that scaffolding, sooner or later it's going to fall, and we'll find ourselves lying in the ruin alongside of it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. So my challenge to you this week is just to leave the old scaffolding behind. The scaffoldings that you've been leaning on, leave them back home and come here ready for what God can build around you. So here's what I want you to do. God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for him. So there will be more to that scripture that we'll get into later in the week. But for right now, for this week, I want you to apply that scripture to your life over the next 7 days. I want you to take your eating. You're eating breakfast in the morning, you're sleeping in the cabins or on the floors at night. I want you to take your rides to the work sites and your work on the work sites and lay it before God as an offering, and lay before God your worship and your singing and your praise and your devotion time, and just allow him to work through you as you turn yourself over to him. Now, your scaffolding this week, I don't know what it's going to look like. I know that it's going to come in different forms. I know that the scaffolding God will put around you will be your leaders, I'm sure, hopefully some of the team effort leaders. I think he will use people in other youth groups as scaffolding to work on you. He'll probably use the people on the work sites as scaffolding, and he'll probably use the people you're working for on the work sites as scaffolding. But whatever it looks like and whatever form it takes, just know that God has brought you here to work on you, even as you're working for him. If you're open to it and you're looking for it, even in unexpected ways, God will put the scaffolding up around you to begin to build a new person. All right, look, I can tell you what your schedule is this week. I can tell you what your meals are supposed to be and what your work site is supposed to look like. But quite honestly, I can't and we can't tell you exactly the unique, unexpected things that God has planned for you as scaffolding to work on you. It's no accident, though, that you're here. You didn't come here just by chance. You prayed about it. Your church prayed about it. Your youth group prayed about it. And you guys are here because God does have a plan for you this week. And you have to trust that he does. Ralph Waldo Emerson had a wonderful quote where he said that all that I have seen leads me to trust the Creator for all that I have not seen. And so this week, just remember that all you have seen in your walk with the Creator, or all that you have felt for some of you in your walk toward the Creator, should teach you to trust God in what he has planned for you, whatever unexpected things that may be this week. I can tell you an unexpected way where I know that God put up scaffolding around me in my life on the mission site years ago. I was working at a boys' home in Clearwater, Florida, and it was the last day of the summer, and I was there cleaning up the construction debris and the mess and all the boards and drywall and all the junk that was left over at the end of the summer. The staff had gone down to the camp. They were getting ready for dinner, getting ready for evening program, and I was the last guy there cleaning up. And I started loading stuff on this trailer and realized that it may take 2 loads to the dump, but I didn't want to do that, so I kept loading more stuff on, and I tied it down with a strap, and then I put more stuff on the trailer and tied it down with a rope. I ended up tying stuff on the trailer with a garden hose because I wanted to get it on the trailer, get it to the dump, and just get the summer over. I was just frustrated. I was sick of being there. After 2 months of working at the children's home, I was ready for the summer to be over. And I loaded it up and I started to pull out of the children's home. And right as I pulled out, one of the tires kind of got stuck in the culvert. I cut the corner too fast, and it slid down in the ditch just a little bit. And it pulled the tire off the rim. And it kind of, this whole big Mongolian cluster load of junk on this trailer kind of tilted down into the ditch. Stuff started falling off, and I got out and I looked at it, and I grabbed a 5-gallon paint bucket and pulled it out of the debris. And just as I sat there on that 5-gallon bucket thinking, man, I just don't want to be here anymore. I'm tired of this job. I wish I could do something else for a living. God, I felt one of the few times in my life where I felt God spoke to me. And I hate to say that, it should be more often, but I thought that I heard that, and I don't remember the words exactly, but I know it was words of encouragement. And it was God, and it reminded me of an event that took place way back earlier in the summer, the very first week at the children's home. We were digging ditches and digging footers, actually, to build the walls for the boys at the boys' home. And we were working with one of the boys. Myself and a youth group, we were working with one of the boys. And suddenly, just out of the blue, he fell to the ground and had a fit, or a seizure. And we didn't know what it was, but Sandy, who was the father that adopted these orphan boys, came and he took them, and he took him into the house and tended to him to make sure that he was okay. And later on that day, we were curious what happened. Sandy came back out, and we asked him, what happened to him? What's wrong with him? And Sandy said that, well, when he was a boy, when he was an infant, he was in his crib and he was crying, and his dad came into his room and laid a gun over the side of the crib and shot him in the head. And we just didn't know how to absorb that, and it took us a few minutes. But as we began to think about it, we realized, our lives aren't that hard. And maybe even though we're just digging a ditch, for a wall, for a home, it is a home for some boys that otherwise don't have one. And even though we feel like we're not doing that much, really, these boys need a home. And as the Bible says, caring for the needs of the widows and the orphans is pure, undefiled religion. Maybe we're just not that far off after all. And I could feel the scaffolding go up around me, and I could feel God's scaffolding go up around the other people there. And we just knew that he was working in us, and he was working on us, even as he was working through us. As I sat there on that 5-gallon bucket, remembering what had happened 2 months earlier, I just felt the guilt of knowing that God had built scaffolding around me to work on me and to teach me. 2 months later, the end of the summer, I'm sitting there having forgotten the lesson. And I just knew it was just time to get up, change the tire, take the Mongolian cluster load of junk to the dump, and just get on and be grateful for the experiences God has given me, expected and unexpected, that turned into the scaffolding that summer, which he worked in my life. We had planned that summer out very well, but it was through the unexpected things that God worked and put up scaffolding in my life. And that's my prayer for you guys this summer, that through the expected and the unexpected things, God will put the scaffolding up for you. I don't know what it'll look like, but I know that if you're willing to leave the old scaffolding behind and get rid of it, God is going to work in your life this week. Remember, you're going on a journey, and as with any journey, the traveler has to decide what to leave behind and what's important to bring with him. And what I want you to bring this week is just you, with all your flaws and all your blemishes and all your weaknesses and all your damaged parts. And remember, there's no stage of damage at which you could possibly be that God can't pick up and make something new out of you through Christ. You guys, I want you to have a great week. I want you to work together, to worship together, to laugh with one another, and to laugh at each other. And remember to have a wonderful week, and that we're excited to have you here. God bless you.